I'd like to welcome everybody to the Ferguson Township Bike Chat for 2021. We're here today just to talk a little bit about biking in Ferguson Township, what the township has to offer, what's upcoming, all the great things that they have planned in the upcoming years. And we'll do a little introduction of some of the key staff as well, that if you have additional questions about biking in Ferguson Township, you can contact them. So a little introduction about myself. I'm Trish Meek. I am a transportation with the Center Regional Planning Agency, and we provide services to the greater State College area. We call it the Center Region. So there's 6 Center Region municipalities. We work cooperatively to plan beyond municipal boundaries. And one of my primary roles as a transportation planner is biking and walking and looking for ways to expand our existing network. And I also work on education and enforcement activities or encouragement activities as well. So I've been in the State College area for about 26 and a half years now. And we just love working on these kinds of projects and partnerships like this with Ferguson Township. So some other individuals in Ferguson, if you're interested in learning more, is Sergeant Ryan Hendrick. He is with the Ferguson Township Police, and he actually has in the past coordinated some of the Ferguson Township bike rodeos that are held to educate children about safe riding and bike operation skills as well. We also have on the meeting today, Nick Fugaro, who is the communications coordinator for Ferguson Township. Thanks for setting up the meeting, Nick. Sasha Walls, who is the Community Engagement and Communications Assistant for Ferguson Township, and Shawna Doerksen, who is on the Township Parks and Recreation Committee. And one of the things that they talk about is biking and walking facilities, as well as many of the wonderful recreation facilities township-wide. So just a little bit of information about what we'll cover today. We'll talk a little bit about the existing Ferguson Township bike facilities, as well as proposed Ferguson Township bike facilities that are recorded on the adopted Center Region Bike Plan. We'll give you a little bit of a refresher course about what the rules of the roads and paths are in Ferguson Township. So when you're out there, you're operating safely. And you know, we wanted to do this event live, and normally we would handle questions, but the thing about these types of virtual recordings are we're going to provide you email addresses at the end, and you can send us questions anytime about anything bike related, and we'll do our best to get you the answers or find the person that can answer your questions. Now, here's a map. So if you're interested in what facilities are already out there in the region, you'll notice that we have quite a few in place. And just to orient you, anything that's shown in red on this map is a shared use path. So these are generally located off to the side of roadways, or they make connections between roadways, but they're separated shared facilities. So what that means is that bikes are commingling or using those paths with pedestrians or joggers or dog walkers, rollerbladers or skaters. So they're adequately sized to allow for those mix of uses. And for individuals that don't feel comfortable riding in the roadway, the great news is that our network is really starting to be connected. And when you look at Ferguson Township, they are actually an all-star municipality in making those connections between places where people live, work, and play. So you'll see that we have our regional parks are on here, or the parks within the region. So they're shown as a green color on this map. And the idea originally, I think, was we'll connect neighborhoods with places where people can recreate, but it's much more than that now. It's really about just using bikes as a form of transportation as well as recreation. We also have bike lanes. So those facilities that are shown as blue on this map are part of our roadway network. So generally you'll see a designated bike lane. So there's space for bikes within the cartway width, within the road, generally to the far right side, between the curb and the actual travel lane. And they're designated places for bikes to ride in the roadway. In the state of Pennsylvania, it's really important to note that bikes are vehicles according to our vehicle code. So they have all the same rights and responsibilities as motorized vehicles, such as cars and trucks. So they are entitled and able to ride in the roadway with a couple of exceptions, which I will review later on in the presentation. We also have bike routes. So they're shown in like an orangish yellow color. And those are just roadways that don't have special space designated for bikes to use them, but they're actually really good all-purpose general connectors to get you from point A to B. The borough and Penn State University have the most of those right now. As we start to look at the overall network and some of the challenges with making connections, we'll probably start adding more designated bike routes to our system. And then we're really lucky to have something called Bicycle PA Route G as part of our overall network. And this is a great powerhouse facility that actually takes you from the New York to the Maryland border. It's generally designated for touring cyclists. So, these are a higher end, higher level cyclists that are comfortable riding with traffic and motorized vehicles, but it is a great tourism route and it does bring many people through our area. So with that, I wanted to just highlight a little bit about some of the existing facilities that are out there in Ferguson Township. So this map is a little bit of a snapshot, and it comes from our bike plan, which is adopted in 2015 and updated in 2016. And you can see the red linkages and the dark blue linkage that's on there along Whitehall Road. So you can see how the backbone of the system is in place. They're really in critical locations along the Western Inner Loop, an abandoned railroad bed, through neighborhoods, through parks as well. And you can go to our website, and I know it's difficult to probably pick up all these connections as part of this presentation when you're looking at the recording, but it's actually really interesting to go on our website and look at our map there, because you can zoom in and out. You can turn on ortho photos, so there's aerials, so you can see where things are located, and you can start to make connections where they aren't already in place. The other thing about this map is those dashed lines that are showing, that have the small little icons that show F and then a number, those are proposed facilities in the bike plan. So we worked with Ferguson Township staff to identify where they might already be appearing on our official map, or where they're in other locations. And these are the places that we look when funding becomes available, or there's an active development plan to say, hey, we've already looked at this and this is a great place to make a bike connection. One of the things about the plan is we do not designate whether they're on or off-road facilities when we're looking at the proposed network. That's one of the things that when we get to that point, we then make the determination, what is the best type of facility in this particular location. So we don't have a lot of details on that, but it gives you a general idea of where we've thought. And when I say we, I mean the elected officials, the general public, the planning commission. We opened up that plan to everybody in the region to comment. And you can see that connections do run into adjacent municipalities as well. So it really was an effort that took into account our neighbors as well. So the one thing that we don't want to do is build a bike path that just stops at a municipal boundary. And we in the center region like to think of this as a regional network, not an individual municipal network. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about the rules of the roads and paths, because as we all know, our area is very transient. So we have new people cycling in and out of our community every year, and they come from all over the world. So by getting information out there about what the rules are in our area in Pennsylvania, we hope that we can make people, help them be safer and have more enjoyable rides when they're out there. So I'll move through some of these quickly. As a resource, I'll just put it out there. This is our bike website. So if you go to crcog.net, which is the Center Region Council of Governments, where the Center Regional Planning Agency is an agency under COG, and go to /bikes, what you'll find is that we have this paper map, the one that I referred to. It's a PDF, so you can go in and you can zoom out. It just has some general information on there. And I didn't point out that we also have bike repair stations in the region. So if you're out for a ride and your tires need a little bit of air, or you need to tighten something or adjust something, those repair stations are a great way to just get to that point. You can get that repair made to an extent that if you need further repairs, you can still ride. But look for additional information about rules of the road on this website as well. So we have safety videos up there, we have general information, we have more detailed information, and we have ways for you to contact others as well. So we just want to make sure that that resource is out there. If you just want to look for additional information, that's where you can find it. Now, in Pennsylvania, this is really, really important. It is the law that children under 12 must wear a helmet. So the law applies to children who are passengers in a bike seat or in a bike trailer as well. And I really want to emphasize this, that, you know, there have been cases where children have been injured, taken to an emergency room with a serious injury that weren't wearing helmets, and parents can be charged in this case because it is a law in the state of Pennsylvania and those children are under your care as their guardian. We know that it's a law for those under 12, but we encourage everyone to wear a helmet when riding. It's really, really important to protect your head, and accidents do happen. And it's one of the most proactive things you can do as a cyclist. I will also note that, you know, all these helmets, they all come with, if you're buying a helmet in the United States and it is new, and we always encourage everyone to buy new helmets, not used helmets, because you don't know if they've been in an accident already. They must pass the same Consumer Safety Product Commission safety rating. So when you're buying that helmet, higher price doesn't actually mean that it's safer. It just comes along with more perks. So it might be lighter, might be more stylish, the color might be great. One of the things that you buy when you pay for when you buy a more expensive helmet is they're much more aerodynamic. So that is one of the things about the higher priced helmets. Maybe start off with a cheaper one. If you don't like it, look into a higher end model, because you might be more comfortable wearing it if you are paying more for it. But at the bare minimum, just wear a helmet. Some of them are coming with these multi-directional impact protection systems, which is one of the ways that they market them, just to give you more, you know, they're just the way that they fit, the way that they're on your head. But it's really important that when you're wearing a helmet, you wear it in the right way. You don't want it to be too high with too much forehead exposure. You don't want it to be too low on your head. And when you look at the way that that helmet is fitting the individual in the first two snapshots, you'll see some give in the strap. If you were in an accident and you're wearing it incorrectly, it might come off your head or move, and that would be a very dangerous situation. So if you're going to invest in the helmet, you're going to wear the helmet, you want it to be fitting correctly. And, you know, you want not a lot of play under your chin strap, because that's what's going to hold it in place. What I'd recommend is, if you're just not quite so sure about helmets, you might want to visit one of the local bike shops. They can help you get fitted. They're exceptional at providing information about this. And the other thing is, you get a feel for the helmet as well when you're doing that. And there's a lot of great videos out there as well. I mean, we're all now using the internet more than ever. If you just Google proper bicycle helmet fitting, you can get a quick tutorial to ensure that you or your family are wearing that helmet correctly so that it will protect you in an accident. Now in PA, another really important thing is that we need to use lights after dark. So it is the law that you have a white headlamp that's visible at least 500 feet from you, a red rear reflector that's visible at least 500 feet from behind, and amber reflectors on each side. Now, what we say is, go ahead and use a flashing red light for increased visibility in the rear. So upgrade from that reflector. You can use it. It doesn't have to be flashing. Any light in the back, any red light in the back will make you more visible. And it's really interesting. A lot of people are riding with lights in the daytime as well now to provide additional visibility. But it is the law in the state of Pennsylvania. You can be pulled over and you can receive a ticket, and it's just safer to be out there and be visible as well. Now, we also have a law in the books in Pennsylvania called the 4-foot pass law. This particular law says that when motorists are passing a cyclist, they must allow at least 4 feet of distance between their vehicle and the bike when doing so. Pennsylvania went 1 foot further. than many of the other places in the nation where it's only a 3-foot pass law. So just be very cognizant that it's important that you provide this distance. And the law is very specific in the state of Pennsylvania that you are allowed to cross a double yellow line when providing 4 feet of distance to pass cyclists. I know we've all been taught this roadway does not allow you to cross that double yellow when it's a 2-lane rural road in most cases, but you can, but you need to ensure that it's safe to do so to do that. So with that, I just was going to turn it over to Sergeant Hendrick so he can provide a little bit of information also about riding 2 abreast in the state of Pennsylvania when you're out there in the roadway. So Ryan, I know you wanted to provide some comments on that.
Yes, first of all, Trish, on behalf of Ferguson Township Police and law enforcement in general in Center County, I want to thank you and everybody that works so hard to keep these paths. I mean, we're blessed in Center County to have such great paths that, quite honestly, we have very few bicycle accidents throughout the year, and it's because of all the work that you guys do. The one thing that we have been emphasizing is obviously the 4-foot rule for the motorist, and we still have some work to do, though we are seeing improvement from our motorists starting to understand this law. But we still have some problems with, as much as we are pro bicyclists, riding 2 abreast is absolutely allowed, but not when you obstruct traffic. So if a vehicle comes up behind you, you need to go single file to allow that vehicle to pass. Again, they should use that 4 feet, and we're sharing the roadway. So bicyclists help us out with that. Obviously, we will continue to work with our motorists for that 4-foot law, but just remember that you cannot obstruct traffic.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. And, you know, it really is a team effort. There have been so many people who have come forward to make sure that this network works. And our elected officials have been all stars for decades here to just create a safe place for people to be on bikes, which is really one of the great assets of our community. Now, another thing that I wanted to just point out is just make it very clear that you can only use one earbud in PA while riding a bike, and it must be for communication. So, you know, we see a lot of people with earbuds on campus riding around, and it really isn't a smart thing to do if you're listening to music and riding, because it's really important that you're observing and sensing everything that's happening around you. So, you know, keep this in mind when you're out there riding. It's really important to be a defensive rider, just like you're a defensive driver when you're in a car, that you're operating and observing everything that's happening around you. And again, this is one of those situations where you can receive a ticket for this as well. Now, we've all learned this about signaling when we learned how to ride our bikes when we were small. And then when we grow up, sometimes we forget some of these things, but it's pretty simple that, you know, we must provide information to drivers and those around us so that it's predictable what we are going to do when we're riding a bike. It's not only when you're on the roadway, it's when you're riding anywhere. And they're pretty simple. So if you're turning left, put your arm out to the left. If you're stopping, it would just be like if you're coming to a stop and you're trying to help yourself, you put your arm down. If you're making a right turn, there's 2 ways that you can do it. You can put your arm up. You can put your left arm up in the air, or you can, the alternative right turn is to put it to the right. And what's really interesting about this graphic is that it's put out by PennDOT, and there is actually language that says all signals are given by hand and arm shall be from the left side, but this is actually put out by PennDOT. So they're saying that as long as you're signaling, it's really important to do that and give people around you that information, because being predictable as a bicyclist is one of the most important things you do. You're just giving people information, and technically you're operating a vehicle. So just like when you're driving a car or truck or a motorcycle in the roadway, you're always using your turn signals then, and we need to do them when we're on a bike as well. So a little bit of information about if you have a bike and you're riding a bike around the area, we really encourage everyone in the center region to register their bicycles. And Penn State has gone above and beyond here, and they actually host the bicycle registration system. In the past, you needed to apply for a registration sticker every 2 years. And Penn State has gone a little bit of a different route now. So they're partnering with a national organization called Bike Index. You can register your bike online. You just need some basic information about the type of bike you have. What is the serial number on your bike? In the past, you needed to be part of the Penn State system, or you had to log in as a guest. It's a little bit easier than it was in the past. But the cool thing is it's all done online now. You go online, you register your bike. You can find the information on the Penn State Transportation Services website. You register your bike, they send you a sticker, and then that sticker goes on your bike. And in the past, you would have to update your sticker every couple of years. But now what they're doing is they're following up with individuals to see if they want to keep their bike in the system. And if you want to pull it out because you're moving or you don't want to re-renew, they'll just drop you from the actual database. But in this case, your bike can be in there actually forever. If your sticker gets in bad shape and it starts to look pretty worn, you can get another sticker if you choose to do that. But what's really cool about this is being part of a national database makes it so much easier for your bike to be returned to you in the event that it's lost or stolen. And there are stories out there where bikes have ended up in Colorado that had Penn State bike registration stickers on them, and the owners were actually able to be found years later. The important thing is to use an email when you register that you're going to keep with you for a long time, because sometimes the bike might be recovered, but if we can't locate you when the bike is located, that is the biggest problem. So look into Center Region bike registration through Penn State. I believe in the past, it was State College Borough, Ferguson Township, as well as Penn State that required all bikes to be registered that were located in those areas. I don't think there was a lot of enforcement around this, but we would encourage you to do it. Just get your bike registered. It doesn't cost anything. And it's a protection for the future for you and your bike. Now, the other thing that Penn State is doing now to try to get more individuals educated about laws in the state of Pennsylvania and how to ride is there's a joint initiative between Penn State Police and Public Service Safety and Penn State Transportation Services. And if you receive a ticket for doing any of these violations that are listed here, so, excessive speed, you're not stopping at stop signs, you're riding the wrong way on a one-way street, you're passing traffic on the right, you're parking your bike in the wrong place and affixing it to a handrail, you don't have the appropriate lights for nighttime riding, and even they're starting to look at bike registration on campus, or you're skateboarding on Penn State property, which is another violation of the code. You, as a first-time offender, when you receive the ticket or the violation, have the opportunity to take and pass an online education course and have that ticket waived. The cool thing about that is it's a kinder, gentler way to get people to understand what the rules are when operating a bicycle on campus or in Pennsylvania. And it actually gives people that one-time chance to actually become educated and learn something instead of paying the violation. Now, this was rolled out, I believe, in 2019, and they saw when they wrote the violation notices that many, many people logged on and took it and passed the online course. For those penalties that for individuals that are past their first-time offense and cannot get the ticket waived, or they choose not to take the class, all that money is actually from the ticketing is actually going back into the bike program on campus, which is a positive way to put it into infrastructure improvement. So that's one of the other good things about this program. Now, if you're riding on shared use paths, so these are the ones that we talked about on the maps that are shown in red, there are some rules out there. And these blue signs are something that if you do use the shared use system or shared use path system around the center region, you'll see these located at key locations. So this actually came out of a public comment in Ferguson Township by an individual that was really concerned about the speed with which bicyclists were operating on shared use paths. And we have a lot of older individuals and seniors and slow movers out there, as in children or people that are walking their dog, that fast moving bikes are very quiet. and they can be very dangerous if you're hit. So we went through a process to do some research to see what would be the most appropriate way for us to educate users. So we have these signs posted at over, I think it's over 50 locations throughout the region, and we're adding them every time we're adding facilities. And we also have a companion pamphlet out there that puts this information out there to the public as well. We distribute it at tabling events or when we're out there talking about biking. It's also on our website. But it's really important to remember that when you're operating on shared use paths, you need to keep right except to pass, and you really need to be respectful of all users. So if the trail is very crowded or the path is very crowded, just slow down and take your time. If it's extremely crowded, you might want to get off and walk for a short distance. And if you do have pets, you have dogs and you're walking them, they must be on a leash. And the reason is that collisions between bikes and dogs can be very, very serious for both the dog and the bicyclist as well. And pets can be unpredictable. So just please keep them on a leash and keep everyone out there safe related to pets, the pets and the people. Now, the last items that are listed here for bicyclists only are actually laws in the state of Pennsylvania. So if you're under 12, you must wear helmets. We already reviewed that. You must use lights when it's dark. So from dusk to dawn, have your lights when you're operating a bicycle. And the one that's least known by most residents is that you must use audible warnings when passing. So it's actually written into the law that if you're on a facility like a shared use path, you're coming upon individuals that are operating on it from behind them, you need to let them know that you're coming. So slow down, give some distance, either use a bell or a horn, or say something as simple as passing on your left, just so that we don't end up with collisions on those paths, because most times they can't hear you coming. When you're operating a bike, you're very quiet. Pedestrians sometimes or joggers might have earbuds in themselves, which they're permitted to do, and they might not be able to hear you even if you're not a silent cyclist. So that's why we say slow down a little bit, call out, make sure they can hear you before they pass, because it really isn't a good thing if someone steps into your way when you're going to pass them. So just, they're all common sense rules, but we put the information out there so there's more awareness. And as we said before, we have many people coming into our community from outside of the area, outside of Pennsylvania, and we're doing everything we can to inform people about usage. Now, we do have a lot of questions about e-bikes, and they're becoming even more and more popular. They don't always, we probably need to update this flyer. This is an old style e-bike. When e-bike legislation passed in 2012, I believe it was. But there are standards out there that say these are the types of bikes that can be ridden in the roadways without a license, registration, or insurance. So PA was out there. It took them a while to get the appropriate legislation in place. But once they did, the elected officials in the center region were extremely proactive. They wanted to ensure that these bikes could use our shared use pass system because they saw them as a way for more individuals to use bikes as a form of transportation. If you ask anybody about commuting by bike, the number one complaint is they want to be presentable when they get to the office. They don't want to be sweaty. They don't want to have to take a shower. And e-bikes can make that possible in our climate and terrain, because anybody that's lived anywhere else than Pennsylvania and ridden bikes knows we're very hilly here. And just getting to some of our primary locations or centers of employment, chances are, unless you live right next to it, you're probably going to have to climb a hill at some point. So e-bikes are permitted to operate on our shared use path system in the center region, which was a great step forward. It actually got us ready for what is the explosion of e-bikes that we are now seeing. And e-bikes actually are a great tool because they allow people that might also might allow people that have certain physical limitations, bad knee, or because of age, or they just don't have stamina to get out there and ride as well. So we want to see as many people using our system as possible. We just ask everyone, again, to be very respectful of the users around you. There are some locations in the state of Pennsylvania where e-bikes have been banned on certain trail facilities. So just be out there, follow the rules, be considerate to others. And we hope to see more and more e-bikes out there using the system, because what the numbers are showing is that more people have the ability to ride, then more people will ride. The more people that ride, it actually becomes a safer place to ride. And one of the reasons is that then people are more accustomed to riding around bikes or with bikes in the roadway. And study after study has shown the more bikes that are out there, the safer it actually becomes for everybody. Now, there are some places where riding is actually prohibited. So in downtown areas, you're not allowed to ride on the sidewalk. So in what is called the Central Business District. So that is basically downtown State College. So if you're in those areas and you're not in the roadway or on an alley, you need to get off your bike and you need to push it. I know that there's stenciling in place down there, and it just makes sense, right? This is where we see our highest pedestrian volumes. We see doorways opening out into the sidewalk area. So just be cognizant of those areas that are in the dense core. Central business districts are actually defined it by legislation, so you can find exactly which street parameters they are. But downtown State College, anywhere between College and Beaver High and just past Atherton Street, those are the areas where it's prohibited. You also are not allowed to ride on limited access highways in the state of Pennsylvania. In some states in the United States, you are allowed, but here it's prohibited. So think I-99 and the Mount Nittany Expressway. Those places where it's controlled to get on and off of those roadway segments. There's high speeds. Many of them are posted with no non-motorized travel permitted, so pedestrians are not allowed in those areas as well. So we don't see a lot of violations or people that are doing that around here. And part of it is that we do have this network of roadway that allows you to get around those areas. There's also something called a limited bicycle zone on the Penn State campus. And it is in the core area, again, where we see a large mix of bikes and pedestrians. So you need to just ride on the roadways in those areas, stay off those sidewalks. I haven't heard a lot of people being ticketed for this. It almost self-polices itself because of the volumes of individuals that are on campus. We don't see a lot of people trying to ride in those areas. So just be cognizant and aware of that. And we all know between classes, or traditionally between classes, is where we see the most conflicts on campus. And you can find out more information about this if you go to the Penn State Transportation Services website as well. Now, I'll just come back to this because we just like to emphasize it. Ride smart, be predictable. Let people know where you're going and be visible when you're there. And this is a really great photo because it shows an individual using a bike lane beside a parked car. So dooring is one of the most dangerous situations for a cyclist. So if you are riding in an urban area where there is adjacent parking, make sure you're in that lane and not hugging the line close to the cars. If someone parks their car, doesn't look back, you're coming in, opens their car door, and you hit that door, that's a very dangerous condition. It can throw you into a travel lane. Not only can it hurt to be thrown from your bike, but it might throw you into a travel lane where there is active motorized travel, and it can be a very dangerous situation. So just be out there, let people know you're there and let them know what your intent are. Ride smart, and it will be safer for everyone using the facility. Again, as part of our Ride Smart messaging, we want you to be visible as well. So this is a photo of some individuals that are taking it to a great extreme, right? They have their red rear lights, they've upgraded, they're wearing fluorescent helmets, vests, as well as socks. So they're very visible when they're out there riding at night. And, you know, the more people can see you, the better you are when you're riding in the roadway or riding in general as well. Because we have people that ride our shared use paths at night, getting from class or work. They're sharing that facility with pedestrians. We want everybody to be able to see and give everyone respect in those zones where bikes are possible. Now, we're just going to talk about some tips. So some information that's out there if you do want to ride more than you're already riding, or do one-way rides, or maybe the weather isn't great for your ride home. You can put it on one of our buses. So one of the great things about our Center Area Transportation Authority is that every bus in the system is equipped with a bike rack. And there's a how-to video of how to use those bike racks, how to engage and disengage your bike. So if you're a little hesitant about, well, maybe I want to try it, but there's a whole bus full of people there and I'm not sure what I'm doing, the video is very helpful. It's extremely easy to secure your bike and get it off. I've even seen, we have very, very friendly bus drivers as part of our system, leaning out, opening the door, instructing people on how to do it. And Penn State went a step further. In 2019, they actually took an older bike rack from the CATA facility and they put it on casters and had it mounted. So it's basically a rolling demonstration point. We only were able to use it a couple times before COVID kind of crept into our lives and we weren't doing any in-person events. But the good news is I believe Lion Bash is on for this year and we'll probably have it there. So we'll have a bike there and you can bring your bike and we can let you see how to engage and disengage it. So if you're interested in doing this, it's a great way to just get a little bit of practice in before you actually do it. I did talk a little bit about some of the bike repair stations that we have in our community. We keep getting more all the time. And the great thing about this is it's just a permanent station that has some tools with airline quality cabling to keep them safe, and also a pump with both types of attachments. So depending on what type of tube you have, you can still pump up your tires and you can actually put your bike on the stand as well if you want. Ferguson Township added a couple racks a couple years ago, one near the Science Park Road and Tudick Path intersection, as well as near the Butterfly Garden in Tudick Park. And I think our newest rack repair station that has arrived was just installed in Circleville Park, near one of the pavilions and the big park and a big parking lot there, as well as a playground. So it's really close to one of our newest facilities in Ferguson and Patton Townships along Valley Vista Drive. So stop and check them out. There's actually QR codes on them. So if you want some help discerning exactly how to use them or what the tools are for, you can actually scan that QR code and get a little bit more information about that. We will be releasing a new map where the repair stations are soon. As I said, we just added a station, so you can go there for more information as well. And kudos to Ferguson Township for expanding the system and adding those racks a couple years ago. Now, another facility that's brand new, not technically open yet, it is coming soon, is that as part of the West Deck parking that was built on the West Campus of Penn State, they actually constructed a bike den. So it's a really cool concept. Penn State Transportation Services has wanted to make this happen for years, and this was the opportunity to do that. We'll be adding the den to our bike mapping as soon as the official opening occurs. In there will be stations, so you can take your bike inside. You'll be able to do some basic repairs to it there. It will be open to the community as well as members of the Penn State, the general population, as well as those that are affiliated with Penn State. And it's my understanding they'll actually be doing some classes there as well. So we'll put more information out about this. We'll release it on the website. We'll provide it to Ferguson Township as well to promote. But this is pretty exciting because to this point, we didn't have something like this in our community where you could go to actually make repairs and use tools indoors and possibly have assistance from somebody to do that as well. Wanted to also point out that, it's really important that you lock your bike when you're out and about in State College. I know we think of our community as being very safe, which it is, but things do happen and bikes do walk away at times. So just make sure you have a lock of any type on there when you walk away from your bike. Cables are okay, but U-locks are more effective from theft. It's really important that you always lock that front tire and your frame. So secure it, or what's happening in the upper right-hand photo could happen to you. With these quick release componentry on our bikes, it's pretty easy to just pop that front wheel off if only the wheel is attached and walk away with the rest of the bike. So the most expensive parts of your bike are those componentries in your frame most times, and you need to secure both to that. Some people actually, and bikes have become, there's very expensive bikes out there now in our community. So some people will actually use a U-lock and a cable lock just to provide extra security. And a lot of it is that bike, you might want to look for locations that are very visible and there's always eyes on your bike when you lock it. That's another way to provide another layer of protection as well. But go out there, buy the locks. There's ratings on them when you buy them related to theft prevention and how effective they are. So that's one of the other things you might want to look into. If you have questions, again, we have these great local bike shops that are more than willing to provide you information. You'll just tell them the type of lock you're looking for, or maybe where you'll be parking it, and they can provide you recommendations. Now, mountain biking is also something that is really popular in our area. And when you talk to people that have left from here and moved to other places, they then realize how fortunate we are here to have free access to incredible mountain biking locations. So two of the places that a lot of people go are Rothrock State Forest. If you haven't explored it and you want a mountain bike, it's a great place. And then State Game Lands number 176, which is actually located in Ferguson, or parts of it are in Ferguson Township. So it's a great place to ride as well. If you're unfamiliar with those areas and you want to find out more, we do not have the single track trails for mountain biking on our digital map or our paper map at this time. We're looking into potentially obtaining the Game Lands mapping and adding that to the map. There's just so many out there. It's difficult to do that. And they're not formal facilities that our municipalities are actually owning or maintaining. So we're getting there, but we're not quite there. The good news is that there are maps out there that are available of these locations for off-road riding. So Purple Lizard's map is a local company that has put out some exceptional maps. So you can get those at the bike shops. You can get them online as well. So if you just Google mountain bike trails, State College area, I'm sure that you can find other resources as well. And we're just so lucky. I mean, you can ride from downtown State College and get to these locations easily. And that's one of the things that makes it very attractive here. But I do want to just provide some information about these locations, specifically the state game lands. So those state game lands were purchased with hunter licensing fees. And so it is a privilege to be able to ride and walk in there if you're not actively hunting or one of those individuals that's purchased a license to pay for the acquisition. So it's really important that we follow the rules in the state game lands. So when you go out there, specifically if you're accessing them from Ferguson Township, there's designated routes where you're allowed to ride a bike or a horse. So these trails are open to both. And there are areas where it is prohibited. We will encourage you to only stay on the green signed areas. If you stray off of those on a bike and there is a game warden out there, you can be ticketed. And I've heard that they've picked up on the ticketing as of lately. And one of the reasons is it's really important that they preserve that habitat for the use it's most intended for, which is hunting, trapping, and fishing. And it's a privilege, again, to be allowed to be in there. So it's really important that you stay on those marked trails with the green signs. There are also times when you're not allowed to ride in there based on the designated hunting seasons. It's a little complicated. You can go to the Pennsylvania Game Commission website and find more information. We try to put some active messaging out there through our bike listservs as well, just to make people aware that riding activities are not permitted except on Sundays or on roads open to the public, to public travel from the last Saturday in September through the third Saturday in January and before 1 p.m. from the second Saturday in April through the last Saturday in May during the spring gobbler season. So those are the active hunting seasons. Not only is it not permitted, it's not smart to be out there as well. There is one exception though. If you are a hunter who's a licensed hunter in the act of hunting, who is using a bike to travel through the game lands, you are allowed to be in there. But just please be cautious of this. We want everyone to stay safe, and we want those game lands to remain open for this type of recreation. There was a move a number of years ago to close down the game lands to cyclists. And the hot spot in the state that stirred this up were the game lands in Ferguson Township. So luckily, the Game Commission pulled back on that, and you're still allowed to ride in there. But again, if you intend to do it, look for the green signs, stay on those marked trails. Now, I just wanted to review some things. I know we're past May now, but the big month for biking nationally and in the center region, when we put the most events on and celebrate biking, is the kickoff to the biking season. May is traditionally when we get the best weather. People are out there, they're starting to really ride. We want to put information out there. And this is a list of the events that we did in 2021. We partner with CATA, which has all those great bike racks, to put information out there behind the driver in one of their display areas. And annually we put out a poster to do that and list some of our events. I just wanted to run through some of the things. So these would be things, if you're interested in our annual bike month celebration and winning some really, really cool prizes, these are events that you will see us do year after year. So we've partnered with Center Moves, which is an arm of the Mount Nittany Medical Center, to do something called Push the Pedal. And basically the idea is get out there, participate in 10 biking adventures during National Bike Month in May. And Center Bike, our bike advocacy group, actually puts up a pretty nice prize for this. So the winner this year won a $100 gift card to a local bike shop, which can go a long way in buying lights and a helmet and other gear that you might want, or you could put it towards the purchase of a new bike. And also Center Region Parks and Rec provided 4 one-day pool passes as well. So just look for this type of activity in May. It's a great opportunity. You could even go out there and just do 10 rides on your own, but we try to highlight and showcase some of the things that we're putting on as a community as well. We also have started doing bike scavenger hunts. So get on your bike and ride to 4 of 6 locations, get a photo, send us a selfie. Another great prize, donated a $50 Weiss gift card from Center Moves. They put up the prize. We're seeing more and more people participating in these. They're just great ways to go out there. And why we did this is we needed socially distanced, safe events for last year, and this made sense. So families can do it, or you can do it solo. Biking is a way to get out there and explore the region. We also have started doing bike bingo. So, they're pretty easy to get bingo. At least that's my opinion. We didn't load it up with difficult things. You could visit a website. You could do something simple like add air to your tires, check the safety of your bike, join a membership, post a selfie, go for a ride. We tried to make it so that you had to ride your bike at least once. And again, pretty easy to get a prize. And we offered 3 $25 gift cards to a local bike shop. So we had 3 happy winners from that event this year. And then for rainy days, we thought we would come up with something. And that's where we came up with our bike lingo word search. And in this case, it was related to infrastructure. We saw more people do this year than we did last year. And one of the reasons is I think we tried to put it out there on rainy days when you might not want to ride, you're inside anyway. And again, we gave somebody a choice of whatever purple lizard map they wanted in the collection that they put out there that showcase routes in our area or facilities in our area. But, we always offer some bike classes throughout the year. And so these are the ones we offered in May, but you can look for these sprinkled through May, summer, and fall as well. And we're always offering our basic biking 101 class. You can go to the Center Regional Planning Agency bike calendar to find out when upcoming classes are, or we run them through Center Region Parks and Recreation. So if you're part of that system, or you're on their Facebook, or you get email blasts from them, you can find out about the bike classes that are coming up. That is our bread and butter class. So we've been offering that for a number of years now, and no fail, we always fill the classes up because people are just interested in finding out what the basics are of riding here. We've also added a mountain biking 101 class. Ryan Leach, who teaches this, is fantastic. For the class surveys that we do post-class, he gets the best reviews. So if you're interested in mountain biking, it's a little bit of off-bike instruction, and then you go for a ride. And he's trained in mountain biking teaching techniques. So he's there, and it's truly for beginners. So you shouldn't be intimidated. If you have a properly fitting helmet and you have a mountain bike, this is the class for you if you want to learn more. And we then, a couple of years ago, decided to add a bike commuting 101 class because more people were showing an interest in actually transitioning to another mode of travel to get to work. So, it's all those basics about how to ride with traffic. And it's a classroom, so it's not on bike instruction, classroom instruction. What kind of gear do I need? What kind of clothes make it possible for me to ride? And it's taught by somebody who hasn't owned a bike in the center region since they haven't owned a car in the center region since they've come here, and they ride thousands of miles. So they're a really good instructor to get you the basics. Now, we also do offer a class for individuals that are interested. If you have toddlers or small children who haven't quite learned to ride, we offer a little Striders class as well. And the concept is they're balance bikes. You've probably seen more of them out there recently. And they are actually a learn to balance before you learn to pedal. So they don't have pedals on them. As part of the class, you get use of the bike during the training, and it's amazing. The first couple years we taught the class, I actually was one of the instructors, and you will see children that have no skill set for riding a bike at all, and they so quickly proceed to just handling bikes very effectively and moving very quickly, I will say. And in the final stages of the class, we teach it on near tennis courts, basketball courts, to get that flat surface. And then there's a little trail around the park, and you would be amazed at how quickly they move. Now, I did want to we're almost to the end now, and I wanted to highlight something that's still going on in our area. So we do something called Bike and Lunch, and the idea is to get people to ride to local restaurants in May and June. So you can eat in or you can take out, and all you need to do is send a picture of you, your bike, and your receipt for a chance to win one of two gift cards. One is a Downtown Improvement DID gift card for $50, or a local bike shop gift card for $50. And it's pretty easy. So if you're already on your bike or you're going out to eat, and you can enter as many times as you want. So if you ate out every day during the months of May and June in 2021, you could send us a receipt for every meal you did that way. And the more you bike and munch, the greater your odds of winning. And it's just a way for us to get people to support local businesses. And it's kind of fun to do it as well. We probably will offer this again in the fall, just to give people an opportunity to get more engaged, to ride their bikes more, support local businesses. So be on the lookout for that. And then two of the events that we also have already scheduled for 2021 are Summer Bike Anywhere Friday on July 23rd and Fall Bike Anywhere Friday on September 17th. The idea was there's a national day called National Bike to Work Day. And it's great. We've promoted it. It's a good way to get people to ride that Friday, that third Friday in May. But we thought, let's take it a step further, because it's not possible for everybody to ride to work. Let's make it Bike Anywhere. And it's just taken off, and we decided to do it seasonally. The spring event is National Bike to Work Day. The winter event in February is National Winter Bike to Work Day. So we piggybacked on both of those. And Center Bike actually provides the gift cards for these. They're $50 gift cards. We rotate it between Freeze Thaw, the Bicycle Shop, Eddie's, and Appalachian Outdoors, depending on which event it is. And it's super easy. You just go ride somewhere in the region on those days. You register on the website, and you could be randomly selected to be the winner. So we'd encourage people to just, 4 times a year, ride on those Fridays, and you have a pretty good chance of winning a great prize. So I just wanted to wrap up that it really isn't possible for us to have all this with all the incredible partners that we have. So beyond Ferguson Township and the other municipalities that are out there doing a great job to get infrastructure in place, to provide encouragement programs, to seek funding to make things happen, and to maintain those facilities. So once they're in place, you just don't build them and walk away. Ferguson Township is plowing snow on key commuter corridors. They're resurfacing those trails and providing maintenance on them. They're replacing signs when they need them. They're mowing grass around them. There's a real commitment in Ferguson Township to provide great, safe facilities for people to use for both recreation and transportation. But in addition to those municipalities, we've been partnering with other agencies or organizations in our area. And, as I said, they're providing prizes, they're getting the word out, they're becoming partners. And that's what makes everything that we do here so powerful, that there's so many individuals that are involved in biking and making it a very positive experience for our visitors and, most importantly, our residents. So with that, I'll just wrap up the presentation and say, you can email either Ryan and I any of your questions related to biking. And if we don't have those answers, we will find a person that does, and we'll do our best to just get you everything you need to be able to be a more active bicyclist in our area. So with that, I just want to thank everybody on staff for being part of this and being part of everything that we do here. And we don't have a question session because of we're taping it and posting it virtually, but look for another bike chat at some point. Hopefully we'll be able to do these live every year to just get the word out and provide updated information. And just thanks to everybody, and let us know if you have questions.